Most of you guys know me as the founder guy, right? So I build companies from scratch. Okay, that's what I've been doing for past, I don't know, 15 years, right? But I also do something behind the scenes. Okay, I actually buy businesses, I fix them up, and I sell them off. Okay, this process is actually really profitable. It's quicker. Okay, now if your sole goal is to actually make money, I actually think it might be better for you to actually buy a business, fix it up, and then sell it off instead of starting from the scratch. Because when you start from the scratch, you have no guarantees. Okay, you'll have to put up time, money, without knowing, hey, will it fly? Is it going to be worth it? It'll take you months, if not years, to actually get it done. While on the versus, right, when you buy a business, you might be making money. You'll have cash flow from day one. So in this video, I want to explore that side. Okay, I want to show you guys that, hey, is buying a business right for you? Okay, where should you find a business to buy? Okay, and what are the key metrics that you're looking at before you buy a business? Okay, and once you buy a business, what do you do with it? Okay, so let's go and talk about that right now. Cheers. So on this video, I want to cover as much as possible. So I'm going to divide this up into 5 parts. Okay, so number 1, foundation. Okay, I'm going to tell you if you are the right person to buy a business. Okay, why should you buy a business right now? Okay, all that foundational stuff. Okay, if you get past that, number 2 is, where do you actually find these businesses? Okay, I'm going to show you exactly where you can find all these companies that you can buy. Okay, local and online as well. Okay, and then number 3 is, I'm going to show you some math. Okay, because you found an amazing business, but guess what? Okay, everybody is trying to scam you in some sense, because guess what? A business seller, he is trying to get the most bang for his buck, right? For his business. Okay, yes, they should earn a profit, but most of the people out there are trying to scam you. So I'm going to show you some key metrics, some things that you should look out for before buying a business. Okay, and number 4 is, where do you find the money? Okay, most people assume that you need like a chunk of millions of dollars in your bank in order to fund a business or buy a business, but not really. Okay, there are some creative things that you can do, like seller financing or small business association loans. There's so many things that you can do to finance your business, or sometimes you might start off buying a small online business. Those are not that expensive, so we'll talk more about that as well. And at the end, I want to talk about, what do you do once you buy a business? How do you improve it? Okay, and where do you go from there? So let's start. Now, foundation number 1. So why should you buy a business? So let's be honest. Okay, if you have a job, if you're working somewhere, okay, even if you are a lawyer, doctor, right, guess what? Okay, in these times, you're not truly going to be rich if you have a normal job. Okay, again, that does not mean that for some people having a normal job is not okay. That's okay. That's completely fine. Like, I'm not telling people that, hey, 9 to 5 is bad. Okay, I'm never telling you that. But if you want to make that filthy rich money, you have to own a business. Okay, and once you have decided that, hey, I want to own a business, you have to decide, are you going to be an operator or a manager? So what is an operator? So an operator is pretty much I actually am part of day-to-day operations. I'm actually doing things. Okay, versus a manager. Okay, once I buy a business, I don't even have to step into the store. I don't even have to log into my platform. Okay, all I have to do is hire someone to manage the business. I have to hire an operator, right? So those 2 things, keep those 2 things in mind. Okay, number 3 is, why is right now the best time to buy a business? Okay, especially local boring business. So what's a boring business? A boring business is, for example, those laundromats, okay, or those car wash places. You think they don't make money, but one day, go look at a location. Okay, some of these companies make loads and loads of money each month. Okay, and those are called boring because they're not sexy. They're like, oh, they're not doing the next best thing. Okay, and that's the whole thing. Okay, about buying a business and then fixing it up, is that most of the time you'll be working on something boring. Okay, versus if you have a startup, then you're like trying to create this new innovation. You're trying to do something bigger than yourself. You're trying to change the whole industry. But we're not doing that when we're buying a business. All we're focused on is actually buying a business, making sure it's, decent, right? And making it, bring in more revenue and generating more profit. That's the goal right now. Why is right now the best time? The best time right now is because boomers, these old people, like, my dad's age, they are retiring, okay? So keep in mind, okay, most of the local businesses are right now owned by boomers, okay? These people who are in their 50s and 60s now, right now, most of them are retiring and their kids don't want to do this, okay? They want to sell because they've been doing it for the past 30, 40, 50 years and they're just tired of it, right? And this is where you can snoop in and then buy a business, okay? And they'll sell it to you for a multiple of 10, 15, okay? That means, whatever the money they're making profit times whatever, okay? But sometimes they might be willing to do something called seller financing where, you give them a down payment, you run the business, and you pay them each month, okay? That's also a pro for them if a business is actually good, okay? And you can also get a loan, okay? You can also get a small business loan from the government as well, where you can get a loan against the cash flow that the business is actually making. So just think about it for a second, okay? You find a business, okay, that's making decent money, okay? You can use the cash flow, the income, okay, against the loan. So you can go to a bank and say, hey, this business, right, I want to buy this, okay? This business is right now making about, 20K per month for the past 2 years. It's very stable, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and put in usually 15% down payment, right? And then bank will actually loan you, the amount to actually buy the business, based on the cash flow, because they will take the business will be the collateral, right? They will take it as a collateral and then let you buy the business. So it's not that hard. So whenever you hear people buying these hotels and motels, you're like, oh, hey, that's got to be expensive, yeah? They'll cost you $5-10 million. But most of these people are not spending that much money upfront, right? They're actually getting a loan, and most of the time they're putting a down payment of 15 to 20% with multiple partners. So far, you should be like, okay, I want to start this. This sounds like a good idea. So next step is, where do you actually find businesses to buy? So where do you actually go to buy these businesses? So you have two types of businesses, right? So online and then physical world. So physical world, we're talking about like gas stations, right? A laundromat, okay? Car wash, a retail shop, a medical store, things like that, okay? Things that you see when you're driving down the street, okay? And these businesses, you want to buy somewhere local initially, because if it's your first or second one, you want to be able to manage it locally, right? You don't want to buy these businesses like, somewhere where you don't have access to go to, like, every couple times a week, okay? You have to keep that in mind, especially if you're going to operate it, okay? So those are physical business, okay? Number two is online business. For example, you might want to buy a blog, right? Yeah, blogs make money. Affiliate blog makes money. You might want to buy SaaS, software as a service, okay? You might want to buy a Chrome extension, okay? You might want to buy, a theme like skins for, software and tools, okay? E-commerce like Shopify store. There's so many things that you can do, okay? So what's the difference between physical and online business? The thing is, with the physical business, a lot of stuff comes into play. For example, are you buying a property? That's always a pro, okay? Are you going to have to put up, 6 months of rent, okay? You might have to do some credit checks. There's a lot of that thing that goes into place when buying a physical business, okay? That's one thing. Now with the online business, okay, the startup cost compared to the physical business is sort of low, because you can actually buy a decent small business for like 10-15K. Yeah, it's not gonna make you millions, okay? This one might not make you millions either, but on the online businesses, guess what? Your startup cost is going to be low. You can scale faster because all you have to do is advertise online. All you have to be able to do is run ads on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and things like that, okay? So startup cost on the online business is sort of low, and you can actually learn most of the stuff yourself, okay? You can find people, freelancers, to actually run the business, okay? On the physical one, you might have to actually hire someone and pay them a salary, okay? You'll have to manage a bunch of employees because someone has to come there and work, right? You have to deal with licenses and things like that. So, make your pick, okay? If you are an older person that does not have a lot of, experience in, computer or, internet, then you might want to consider physical business, okay? Because, as long as you can talk to people well, you'll be fine, okay? On the other side, if you don't have a lot of funds, you might want to consider online business. So where do you find these businesses? So for the physical business, I recommend 2 websites, okay? Number 1 is BizBuySell. This is an old website from 90s. Okay, it was founded in 90s. Okay, it's not that old, okay? But it's an amazing, I think it's the number 1 website if you're looking to buy, physical, boring businesses, because it does a really good job. It'll tell you what it is. It'll give you the location. It'll give you all the, metrics, which we'll talk about in a bit, okay? You'll get all that information, okay? The second website is called LoopNet, okay? So LoopNet will also find you businesses that are, actually, it's a brick and mortar business, okay? Keep that in mind, physical business, okay? Now, if you're looking to buy online business, I have 4 websites for you, okay? I'll go and put the links of these on the description so you don't have to memorize, but, I'll put a logo somewhere here too. So number 1 is Flippa. So Flippa has been around for, I think, 15, 20 years, okay? I have bought a lot of businesses. I've sold a lot of business on Flippa, and it's amazing, okay? I think, in my opinion, it's one of the best places to buy online businesses, okay? Flippa, it's amazing, okay? You'll be able to buy e-commerce, blogs, any software business, things like that, that you have never thought of. So go to these websites because, you'll get some ideas and see, hey, what's going on? Maybe talk to the sellers, okay? See what they have to offer, right? Now, number 2 is bizmart.net. So bizmart.net offers both, brick and mortar and online businesses, but it's more focused on the online business part as well. And you'll be able to find, again, just like Flippa, you'll be able to find SaaS, e-commerce, Chrome extensions, white label products, franchise product, all those stuff is on bizmart.net as well. The only difference is that Bizmart is kind of new. It's not as old as Flippa, but besides that, Flippa and Bizmart, they're pretty much the same, okay? Third one is acquire.com. Acquire.com, it used to be called Microacquire, so it's also an amazing place. But the only downside is that, on Flippa and Bizmart.net, you can actually see, business, you can see things, you can talk to people, right? On acquire.com, you have to actually pay a premium. So I have never tried it, but people tell me it's pretty good. So I recommend you starting from Flippa, Bizmart.net, and then if you have the funds, go and spend $500 per year, and they'll give you access to these businesses for sale. So they are vetted. All of these businesses are vetted, so you should be good, okay? And number 4 is EmpireFlipper, okay, .com. So on this website, pretty much you'll be able to find, blogs, affiliate sites. So not software a lot, it's mostly blogs. So go through these in order. So I'll put the link on the description as well. So once you have found a business, right, what do you do next? Okay, so first thing that you want to ask the seller is, why are you selling it? Okay, and most of these people will give you, and even I do it too, right? They'll give you that canned response saying, hey, I want to focus on something else. No, okay. Most of these people are not trying to focus on something else. They're trying to offload a business because very rarely are they selling it because, hey, they want to retire, okay? Most of the time they want to sell it because they have found a bottleneck, okay? Now, it's not a bad thing, okay? So they found a bottleneck, or they see something that other people don't, okay? Because they have been, running this business for such a long time, or sometimes they bought the business and they're reselling it because they have made an improvement, okay? So just keep an eye on that. They'll ask, you'll ask them, why are you selling? They'll say, hey, I want to focus on this. Hey, I'm retiring. Just take it with a grain of salt, okay? Keep that in mind, okay? Next up, okay? Next things you want to keep in mind, 3 things, okay? Financial wise, okay? Revenue, expense, and profit, okay? So revenue is how much money is the business making, it does not mean profit. That's not the money that goes in your pocket, okay? So revenue is how much is the business actually generating, right? Number 2 is expense, okay? If it's an online business, what are the cost of running the server, okay? What are the cost of hiring freelancers, developers, things like that, okay? If it's a physical brick and mortar, how many employees do they have? How much money are they spending on employees, okay? Keep those things in mind, okay? And then at the end, you want to see the bottom line, which is the profit, okay? What's the margin, okay? You also want to see what's the margin for each of the unit, okay? What's the margin on a service or the product, okay? Keep that in mind as well. But the bottom line is how much money is the business making month on month. Okay, so once you figure that out, you want to see the growth projection, meaning you find out that the business is making, let's say for the sake of math, it's making 10K per month profit. Okay, profit, not revenue. Revenue might be 50K, right? So profit is 10K, right? And you want to backtrack and see, has this business been making that money consistently? Meaning, it's not going, it's not going up, or is it going down? What's the trend like? Okay, for most of the time, the trend, if people are selling their business, it's usually flat. The reason it's flat is because they can't find a way to grow. Okay, most of the time. Okay, sometimes you'll see it's declining. Okay, sometimes you'll see that it's going up. Okay, and you're wondering, right, why are they selling it when it's going up? Okay, and I teach it to you guys that the best time to sell a business is when you are at the peak, because that you'll get your best bang for your buck. Okay, so that's actually a good strategy to sell a business. So it does not mean that they're trying to do something bad. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay, what you also want to look for is trend. Okay, meaning you want to get their financial data for the past as long as you can. Okay, and keep in mind that you want to get legit third-party verified information. Okay, now initially they will not give that to you because initially you're just on the talking phase, right? But when you say, okay, letter of intent, meaning you want to buy the business, okay, then you should always verify this information because they might be lying to you, right? Especially if you're buying, a brick and mortar business like gas station. Keep in mind, it's coming from a brown guy. Okay, most of the gas station business owners, they're lying to you. Okay, I even tell people, okay, now it's my personal belief though. Okay, I try not to get into restaurant or gas station. Okay, because I know for a fact that restaurants, the likelihood of them failing is super high. Gas stations, there are good gas stations, but if they're selling it, like I said, there are good reasons, but keep in mind, okay, make sure to look at the data, right? And then guess what? Even when you're looking at the data, they can fabricate it. So for local business, I even tell my clients to actually go and just sit there for a week. Hey, you're spending $1 million, $2, $5, $10 million. You have a right to go and sit there for a couple of days, a month. You can, okay? So make sure to do that if you're buying a physical business because you actually see it, okay? They can't fabricate, people, hopefully they're not sending off their cousins, but you get the idea, right? For the online business, make sure you get verifiable merchant form because it will show you exactly how much they're making per month to month. Okay, now take a look at the trend. Okay, make sure it's not going down. Okay, hopefully if it's going down, ask them why. Okay, sometimes they will tell you. If it's going up, ask them why they're selling it's going up. If it's like this bottleneck and it's just staying consistent, ask them, why is it not growing? Because sometimes they'll tell you, hey, I can't grow it because X, Y, and Z. In that case as well, sometimes it's okay to buy it because, once you pay that usually a multiple of 10, usually online business, and then brick and mortar, there's a goodwill, and then plus inventory, that's extra. And, if it's real estate, things like that, okay? But I want you to see that the trend is pretty good, okay? If it's declining, I would avoid it unless you have some specific knowledge. For example, I see a software business that's declining, okay? I look at it, I'm like, okay, it's a good product, but it's not selling, okay? I'm thinking, I know something about this industry that he doesn't, or maybe I can rebrand it. In that case, I might be able to scoop up that software business for like pennies on dollar, right? Because I know what I'm doing. But if it's your first time, don't do that, okay? Make sure to take a look at that. So you got that and the growth projection. Number 3 is CAC. Okay, CAC is customer acquisition cost. Okay, so how much money do you need to spend in advertising in order to get one customer? So if it's an online business, maybe it's even offline business. So how much money in average? So if it's a brick and mortar, it's going to be an average, but it's online. You can see exactly how much money are they spending on organic content and actually special ads, right? And when you run ads, right? Let's say I'm running ads. Let's say I'm spending $100 a day. Okay, I might be able to get 50 people to click on the ad, right? And it's not conversion. Conversion is when people actually give you money, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, so CAC, how much money do you require? So make sure it's low as possible. It's not always going to be low because keep in mind your profit margin based on that could be different. Okay, now number 4 is CLV, so customer lifetime value. So what does that mean? That means that how much money is this customer going to spend throughout the time they are your customer. So how do you determine that? They'll tell you, okay? Sometimes there's no data on that, right? But most of the time it's an online business, you'll see that there is a data. For example, if it's a blog or things like that, there's no data on that. For example, software, yes, we might find out that the customer spends an average $1,000 with you before they quit, which is called the churn rate. Okay, churn meaning when they cancel site, right? So you want to find out, how much money can you extract out of one customer, right? And then you want to find out if there is a recurring revenue model in place or not. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you're selling shirts, right? And then the lifetime value of the customer is not that high. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, that leads us to churn. Number 5. Churn is whenever you find out how many people, once they sign up, they cancel or stop coming to your store. Let's say you open up a vape store, right? And people come to your store a couple of times, but they stop coming because, hey, your shit is not that good. Your customer service is not that good. And you can figure that out through POS system, okay? You can figure that out, okay? Number 6 is super important. So owner involvement. How much time as an owner do you need to put in there, okay? Sometimes you'll have to quit your job to do this, which, may or may not be the best decision, okay? So find out how much owner time do you have to spend on there, okay? And last but not least is number 7, so improvement, okay? Now, what kind of improvements can you do in order to bring more business? For example, if it's a local business, let's say, car wash, right? Maybe they don't have a website. You'll be surprised. A lot of these local boring businesses, they don't even have basic Facebook page, Instagram, or Google Business. Okay, it's simple things. Okay, website, things like delivery. Like they're not upselling. Okay, you have to be able to find things that that you can improve in order to make money. So for example, let's say I'll give you an example. So recently a client of mine bought a business, right? It's a brick and mortar, it's a gas station, right? And the actual profit was kind of okay, but he saw that he can actually put a billboard there and make like $5,000 per month more per profit without spending his upfront money. So that's things that he saw because he knew the industry. So it might be helpful to find someone who can help you, okay? And we do that as well. So if you need help with that, please reach out to us, okay? So 7 things that you have to keep in mind before you decide to buy a business. Let's go ahead and move on to where do you actually find the money? So the financials of how to get the money in order to buy that business. So there is typically only 5 ways to get funding for your business, right? So 5 ways are, number 1 is personal savings. So if you're buying an online store or online extension, things like that, sometimes it might be better to just spend money from your personal savings because it'll cost you, 15, 20K, 50K. In those cases, it's kind of pointless, in my opinion, to get a loan, okay? But sometimes you might, okay? That's personal savings. Number 2 is bank loan. So most of the times you can go to a bank and say, hey, look, I have good credit, meaning my credit history is pretty good, and I want to buy this business, okay? It's making XY amount, okay? Most banks will loan you money based on the cash flow. They will be the owner, they'll use it as a collateral, but you'll get the loan to finance, let's say, the 80% of the purchase, okay? So bank loans are an amazing option, but the downside is that the interest rate is going to be kind of high because they're taking a risk on you and the business. It's not like, they are lending you money for a mortgage, like a house, okay? Which most of the time they're not going to lose money on, but business loans, they might lose money on because, it's on you, the business, the customers, right? So market. So keep that in mind, okay? Number 3 is SBA loan. So small business admin, it's an association here in the US, okay? It's an organization by the government where the government actually wants to give you money so, they can fund stuff, so they can make the economy go around. So SBA loans are super, super good, okay? The best part about SBA loans is that, number 1, lower down payments, okay? So I've seen as low as 5% down payment, okay? So compared to banks, that might be a better option for you most of the time, okay? Number 2 is your interest rate are usually going to be lower compared to a bank, okay? And number 3 is keep in mind that you'll qualify for a SBA pretty easily. It's not that harsh because the government does want you to grow. The government wants you to give you money so you can make the US economy grow. Does that make sense? So SBA loans are amazing, okay? And number 4 is seller financing, okay? Now, why would a seller person selling the business give you the loan, okay? Because number one, quick sale, okay? Number two, they might get the asking price, but usually because if you're trying to buy a business, you'll negotiate the price, right? You'll go back and forth, right? If it's seller financing, usually you'll give them what the asking price, right? And then they're in it for the long term, okay? And then they'll also get some sort of residual income coming in, right? And the best part is that if you fail to make any payments and things like that, they can always take over the business if it's on the contract. So seller financing is amazing, but make sure you involve title company, you involve lawyers when you do this, because when you buy a business through bank loans, SBA, your personal savings, you'll know everything is done right, because with personal loan, personal, savings, you actually get all the paperwork. It's yours, right? With banks will make sure that, hey, we have all the paperwork in place. But a lot of people, what they do is when they're doing a seller financing, they think, they don't want to spend a couple $1,000s on a lawyer or title firm, and they try to do it themselves, which is a bad idea. So make sure to involve a lawyer, okay? It's not going to cost you a lot. You're buying a business, okay? Make sure you have all the paperwork, documentation done correctly, okay? And number five is investors or partners. Sometimes, okay, let's say you're buying a hotel, right? And you don't know too much about the hotel industry if it's your first time, or maybe it's your 50th hotel, right? What you might want to do is, in order to lower your risk, you might want to have investors or partners to go along, because you guys will pool up the money and buy a business, okay? You guys might pool up the money and then use that as a down payment. So think about it for a second, okay? Let's say you're buying a business for $10 million. This is for sake of the math, okay? $10 million, right? And let's say your down payment is $2 million, right? And you don't have $2 million, but it's an amazing business. You're going to make money. So what you might want to do is involve 5 people. So you divide the 2 million, the down payment, if it's 20%, right, among the 5 people, and guess what? You got your down payment, right? And 5 of you guys are going to be a guarantor on that $10 million property, hotel. Guess what? The bank will see it as a good, because 5 people are involved, so that's a good sign, right? And they'll give you the loan. So a lot of the people do that, okay? If you're buying a big business, I recommend having partners and investors, because it's not just you, okay? You got people to back you up. You got people with various knowledge, right? So try those things. So once you have bought the business, what do? Okay, the point is to actually increase the revenue and the profits, okay? How do you go about doing that? So simple steps, simple things that you might want to consider, okay? Number one is, if you bought a brick and mortar business, does this company have a website? Does it have a Google business page? Okay, does it have social media? Okay, are you creating content on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook? Okay, because people do take a look at that to see, hey, is this company trustworthy? Okay, are there testimonials from customers? Okay, is there upsells? For example, let's say you buy a business, okay, and then you want to see what else can you upsell in order to increase the average order value. For example, when you go to McDonald's or watch a movie, they'll ask you, hey, do you want to make that large? Hey, do you want fries with that? That's an upsell, right? So you can easily make more money by upselling, okay? And the thing that I've seen with a lot of businesses is that if it's a brick and mortar business, is that they don't collect customers' information. Okay, these coffee shops, these car wash places. Okay, they don't collect people's name, email, phone number. Guess what? If you have that information, you can increase. Remember that customer lifetime value. You can increase that by sending out emails or sending out SMS. So make sure you're doing these things, okay? And last but not least, okay, see where you can cut down the cost, see where you can improve the quality, right? And then the goal is to increase that trend, okay? When the trend is going up, you want to find the perfect place where you want to sell off the business if that's what you want.